Hello, friends, and thank you for tuning to another episode of WOD on a Saturday. And also, thank you for tuning to all the great content that we had all week long. Whether it was quick hits, three from deep, dugout debrief, it stinks, the nightcap, out of pocket, drop the mic, and so many more shows. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us, and thank you for hanging out with me on the weekend cap, if I can use that word, for the weekend edition of WOD and all the other great content we have coming up today after WOD. Don't forget, after WOD goes out, three from deep with my boy Jason comes on to talk about all the NBA playoffs and that game 6 in Indianapolis with the Pacers and the Knicks. OKC has punched their ticket to the NBA Finals. But we had a great week of wrestling. But before I can even jump out and talk about wrestling, got to give a shout out to my boy Cody from Boom Broadcasting, the backstage producer who does a lot on the back end scenes of Boom. You saw him on the WrestleMania Night 1 live stream. You've seen him on the Gridiron Address. Hey, good show. Can't wait to get back on the Gridiron Address. Seen him on that during the draft recap. But I want to thank him for providing me with the Drew Cole Sports Talk Show shirt to wear the day on WOD. Glad to be wearing it, man. Perfect fit. Feels good. Wears good. If you haven't got one, this is when you need to hit pause. Go find Drew Cole Sports Talk. Order that shirt, order that hat, and make sure you're wearing all the swag of all the different content creators right here on Boom Broadcasting. Also, don't forget, my boy Mouthing Off with Mike, who hosts the Nightcap, has his swag up there. So make sure you go by, check our links out, and order some of that great swag so you can dress just like the Boom Boys when you're doing your show or when you're out in the street just having some good conversation. I cannot wait. What a great week of wrestling we had from the Saturday night main event. 5 good matches. NXT Battleground. We saw history made. Trick Williams becoming TNA World Heavyweight Champ. It's not TNA, it's Tricky NA. We saw a great Double or Nothing AEW programming. I told you on the last one on the prediction show, wasn't a big fan for Anarchy in the Room, but man, it really hit. Mercedes Moné, we saw her on the show. So much happened on Double or Nothing. Then we spilled over to Monday Night Raw, kept the heat going, spilled right back into Tuesday night for NXT. Saw Ethan Page defeat Ricky Starks, roll right into Dynamite on Wednesday night, a great TNA on Thursday, and we wrapped it up with a great Friday night SmackDown with Cody, Jey Uso, John Cena, the last real champ, and Logan Paul closing the show. So much to talk about. I can't wait. You're watching WOD right here on the Boom Broadcasting. Hey, Drew Cole Sports Talk. Let's go. Welcome back to WOD. Before we jump into some good wrestling talk, gotta talk about the season finale of season 6. Dark Side of the Rings aired on Tuesday night. Another banger episode. And they went out and closed it with the right one. Coming off the Memorial Day weekend, celebrating your boy's birthday on Thursday. Hey, drop those happy birthday comments right there in the comment box. Give me those thumbs up for the birthday. Birthday boy had a great celebration on Thursday. It spilled over to Friday night, and it's continued to spill over into Saturday and Sunday as we party all weekend with the birthday boy right here on WOD. But a great episode on Tuesday night. So excited because you're coming off Memorial Day weekend, and why not have a good episode about a guy who lived his dream, and his dream was cut short because the character direction went too far, but not upset. Most time when these guys leave out of WWE because of situations like this, their life spirals out of control. Of course, Mark Copina, who also played the character Muhammad Hassan, I could not get it out, from 2004 to 2005 in WWE. That was his Dark Side of the Ring. He told his story, and it was a story I've been wanting to hear. Because right after 2002, and that 03, 04, 05, 06 years, the college years of my life, I call them. Yes, I'm old. I'm not going to lie. I was watching the WWE product, but I kind of had phased off. And I remember after leaving college, it had went on to UPN and Spike TV. Spike TV was Monday Night Raw. UPN was SmackDown. So I kind of wasn't watching it that much. Now we had DVR back then. Yes, DVR was a thing. So I would DVR it, and then I would just go back on a day off from work and just binge watch it all the way till that night. So if Raw came on that night and I was 4 episodes behind from off work, boom, I just binge watch 3 of them back to back, get ready for Monday Night Raw, the live one. Same thing with SmackDown. And when SmackDown went to UPN, I kind of got upset. Because UPN had great shows up there, but they kind of had to push those shows more to attract the audience to them. And I guess WWE thought going to UPN, because they were kind of blowing up with a lot of good sitcoms that they were pushing, that it would also help gather more people to watch their product, which to me, it kind of just scaled WWE's product back from USA. You got to remember, we was in the 2004, 5, 6 era right here, 7 era. But I remember on a Friday night watching Muhammad Hassan debut. And what a good rub to have yourself debut as a heel anti-American against Mick Foley. Mick Foley, wow. Mick Foley came out and cut a promo. And I remember this guy's music. I remember watching him. I hadn't watched the program in a while. So I knew he had to be new because the way how he was introduced. So I went back and, watched some vignettes on the old episodes I had DVR. Like, okay, they've been talking about this guy. But he comes out as a character who, coming off the brinks of 9/11, you use this guy who's talking about the controversy he's going through being an Arab in America who is Arab. And you got to remember, this guy was an Italian. He was not Arabic American at all. He was Italian. But that's the character he played. But he talked about how when he was working at OVW and Jim Cornette saw so much potential in him, Jim Cornette saw that he just naturally gravitated to wrestling. He was already an athlete, played sports growing up in grade school, middle school, high school, and how Vince called and said, I need this guy on TV. So Jim said, before we send him there, let's see how this gets over in OVW to see if it will work when you bring him on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Well, of course, it worked. He got over as a heel, like they hated him. And you got to know with Vince, when things are not going good on programming, what has always been Vinnie Mac's go-to guy? A foreigner that hates America. We seen it with Sergeant Slaughter. Now, that one didn't work that good, but we saw it with Nikita Koloff. We saw it with the Iron Sheik. We saw it with the Sheik, who actually did not wrestle for WWL, but wrestled for the WWWL, Vince's dad. We saw it work with the original Sheik. We seen it work with Louis de Borgen, Yokozuna, all these great foreigners who don't like America. That's been Vinnie Mac's go-to. So here's another guy coming off the brinks of one of the most horrific days in my life. Remember it to this day. Thank you for all the people who served on Memorial Day. We didn't get a chance to say that we get another program. So thank you so much. But coming off a horrific moment, Vince kind of built this up to bring this character here. I remember watching SmackDown and Vince coming out and told some, we will not be scared. We are Americans. We stand up. The tribute for the troops, all he did for that, that was Vince giving back. But, doing those speeches before SmackDown, we won't be scared. We'll come watch wrestling. We'll gather in arenas. We'll do this stuff. We're not going to back down. We're going to stand strong. We're going to cheer on our soldiers who are over there in Iraq fighting for our freedom. Vince was doing all that stuff, but we didn't know that Vince was preparing for Muhammad Hassan to debut. So he led all that up and he got there. And the guy just had natural heat. But not only did he have natural heat, because he was just good, he was good. He knew how to talk. He had everything going for him. But as the character grew, he had a lot of controversy backstage because you got to remember, he came in and this thing got over. And he started working matches with Michaels, with The Taker, with Mick Foley, with all those guys, Eddie Guerrero backstage. He went to Eddie Guerrero and said, hey, look, man, the camel clutch is my finisher. You know, you used it and guys are breaking out of it now, not knowing that Eddie's dad invented the camel clutch. He got held up in wrestlers' court where he had to buy people drinks. He talked about that on the side of the ring. But what the key thing was we that stood out of this whole entire episode was when the character went too far. Everybody knows. Maven talked about it. My boy Chris Masterpiece, shout out my boy. He talked about it. They said that he didn't want to do it. Mark did not want to do it. And Stephanie McMahon, Hemsley now, or Levesque, was his writer-producer who was writing this, who pretty much wrote him to now come out be carried like a royal king or prince, 5 henchmen with mask on. He was doing the throat slash, you know, and he said when The Undertaker did it, it was cool. But me as a guy playing an anti-American Arab who hates America doing it, when you had so much going on over in the Middle East with Americans being kidnapped, beheaded, all this stuff, it didn't look good on TV. He said it really didn't look good on TV. And he went to Stephanie and said, hey, Stephanie, we need to tone this down. It is getting very, very tense. And he talked about a time riding on an airplane where the people knew him from being on television, the character that he played, that he had to go through customs 4 or 5 times before they got him on the plane to make sure that he wasn't this, quote, terrorist, unquote, that he was pursuing and persuading on TV. That's what he told Steph. We got to tone it down. But of course, Stephanie didn't want it more because the more they gave the fans, the more heat he got to finally UPN newspaper articles, UPN, other networks, sponsorship, RRD, all them pulled out, said, if you're going to keep this guy on TV, we're not going to be sponsors. We're going to get, hey, UPN doesn't want to do a deal. We want you off our network. Then he goes on to talk about when all that happened, he has his last match in Buffalo, New York, which is his hometown. He's killed on TV by The Undertaker. He said, hey, if you got to go out in your last match as The Undertaker, man, I went out of style because it's an honor to have The Undertaker be the one to pretty much send you off. So he talked about that, and he said even after that, he could have just drowned and swallowed in his pain, you know. It was hard for him to get engaged with. Nobody wanted him because he was so tainted with so many newspaper articles, so many news media saying this guy can't be on TV. All the stuff going on in the Middle East, and you're portraying it on TV through this character. You know, you had another bombing that had, and that's what he was going to win the number 1 contender match to beat Batista for the title. The day they had the bombing, I think it was the London Bridge bombing, that they had to change plans and even had to put some things as viewer discretion. This was taped before this happened. WWE releases all condones if this offends you. This is when he had to be pulled off TV. And of course, he did not get a chance to get back on TV and written out by The Undertaker. But Mark's doing good. He went on to go back to school, became an educator, became a teacher. Now he is an administrative principal over a school. He gives back to the community. He said he doesn't regret what happened in wrestling. If he had to do it all over again, he would do it all over again. He said if he really could have got Stephanie to kind of tone down the character, maybe he could have had a longer career in wrestling. But as Jim Cornette, Maven, Chris Masters, everybody said, Mick Foley, all of them said was, think about the short run he had, how people will remember him as a great heel character that had tremendous heat. and how he left the business early and is able now to still walk and do a lot of things without taking all those bumps for 20 years. So they said at the end of the day, he actually came out ahead of everybody versus the guys and girls who hung around. Great dark side of the ring, great way to end the season. Enjoyed every episode this season. I really thought they did good from the Daphne one last week to the Sheik to Ludwig Borger to the Hell in the Cell. Now Muhammad Hassan. So many they done. Can't name them all, but I truly enjoyed every single one of them. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. I truly enjoyed every one of them. And it was good to see a lot of new people up there as commentators that they interviewed. Maybe this is his first time being up there. Chris Masters, the Masterpiece. You know, a lot of new people that we haven't seen that they're reaching out to put on this show. Can't wait to season 7 next year. I hate when it goes off. I really wish they would drop Dark Side of the Rings in the summer. There's no TV program going on in the summer but Big Brother and other game shows. Dark Side, you need to drop it next year. Start your first episode in May and run it all the way to August. For the new season shows come on for the fall. Run it through May to August and let it ride. Every week with 7 to 8 good episodes for us to watch on Dark Side of the Rings. This is Shawn. Jumping to a commercial break. We'll be right back to talk about one of the biggest news announcements that happened on AEW. That's right. Not WWE this week. AEW. Watch WOD on Boom Broadcasting. Welcome back to WOD right here. Got to give a shout out to the little one. A new Funko Pop added to the shelf. Got my man LaMelo Ball from the Charlotte Hornets. Kids picked up to give to dad for the birthday gift with some other things that we'll be bringing out on WOD in the next couple of weeks. So shout out to the kids for bringing me another Funko Pop to add to the collection right here for the WOD setup. Now, I got to say, and if you watch the Nightcap, if you watch Out of Pocket, Drop the Mic on Wednesdays, I got to say when we do Top Rope Tuesdays or Drop the Mic Wednesdays with the friends, Mike D, Nightcap, when I'm up there with the guys, Mouth Off with Mike, Quick Hits Podcast, Smitty, Wayne the Model, and the list goes on and on, all the great people I've been on the Nightcap with. I got to say about AEW, when they get it right. And boy, Thursday night, did they get it right or not? I was just so excited because we have a big time fight feel. And we haven't had that in AEW in a while. Now, don't get me wrong, Hangman and Mox is a big time fight feel. But the Mercedes Moné and Timeless Toni Storm segment leading up to their match, since Mercedes Moné won the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, she's guaranteed a AEW Women's Title Championship match in 45, now 43 more days on AEW programming. That promo just felt big. Two ladies who brought the best out of each other. Mercedes Moné, the belt collector, who a lot of people have not been really feeling her run in AEW. Just felt like she's overbooked, heavy booked to win. Timeless Toni Storm, who everybody has gotten behind. And I really got upset because AEW hasn't had a good story line for the women of AEW since the times Mariah May, when Mariah May turned on Timeless Toni, went on to win the title, went on to have a great title run, drop it to Timeless Toni, and now Timeless Toni's kind of been out in a race. She's been doing her stuff, but we've been focusing more on the CEO as she's become the belt collector. Everywhere she stops, she picks up a belt. That's the gimmick. And you know, it worked. It worked for the Hardy Boys when they were the TNA champs, the Ring of Honor champs, the New Japan champs. They said they were the greatest tag team in all time of all space. We're seeing this work with Mercedes Moné right here at AEW. We're going to have such a great match for both of these ladies. I cannot wait. To me, this match should main event the show that evening. Hangman and John Mox has so much in it that just goes back from years of both of them hating each other that you know it's going to be a great match. But AEW should really let the ladies main event that evening, that night, and give it to Mercedes Moné and Timeless Tony. Let them tear the house down. Won't make a prediction of who would win this match, but we got 43 days of great promos on Dynamite between the both of them because you can see even it got so good to the both of them at the end that they broke character and even started laughing because they just felt the special moment in the ring. And I, as a fan, just gravitated to it saying, this is the Mercedes Moné I've been waiting on. This is the Mercedes Moné that made me one of her super fans. Hey, you watch all the shows. I'm a Timeless Tony guy. Love Timeless Tony. I always said she found the right place for the right gimmick with AEW. It just would not have worked in WWE, and WWE probably would have gave it an even bigger glamorous feel than what AEW does, but it just would not have gotten over with that WWE crowd. And even that NXT crowd that you contend is more AEW fans. It's going to be a good match. Two ladies who they're going to let tear the house down. I cannot wait for it. And I'm telling you, every week I'm back invested with Dynamite. I had lost my reasoning for watching Dynamite, and everybody does it. It just was not what I was looking for again. I felt like Dynamite and AEW had started shifting right. Now I watch Mercedes matches, watch some of the Timeless Tonys because I'm going to watch all of those. You know, those are the two people I really like. You know, watch my FTR matches when they were on the TV. Watch a few other things, but watch the Hurt Syndicate, Devil and MJF. That was my biggest thing that was keeping me watching AEW. But then after that, if it wasn't after that, I would either fast forward or wait till I got an alert on my phone who's match it and turn back. Now I have something to keep me invested besides the Hurt Syndicate and MJF. Now I have this to look forward to. I have something more to keep me invested with, and I'm definitely glad to see that that's going to be big. Now, our next big thing we want to talk about, Trick NA, WWE, and TNA have done it. Trick Williams is starting off to a great run. And I texted this out to Doughboy the other day. Shout out my boy Doughboy. Got to get him back on the show one day. I told Doughboy, sometimes it's good, and we know the draft is pre-alluded to who's going where. And we know that you don't have a say-so to stay back. I really wish WWE could implement that in the draft this year, next year. If people are NXT to tell WWE, I don't want to be drafted. I want to stay in NXT. I really think they could now really capitalize on this because you got Trick now, who's probably going to move his way up to be a top draft pick with the Raw SmackDown. If Trick could come out and say, hey, I don't want to go to the main roster. I want to stay in NXT for another year. I think you could really now do something with it to make it feel more college bound, more college basketball style, where a kid can say, hey, I did 1 year in NXT. I'm ready to go to the main roster. Or, hey, I'm loving it in NXT. Why go to the main roster? I'm getting paid. I'm having fun. I'm doing my thing. I want to stay in college. Let me stay in NXT. I really think they got this now because Trick can be the first one to use that card to say, hey, I don't want to be drafted. I want to stay another year in NXT, maybe try to get next year. Trick Williams has now established himself, and I told Doughboy, sometimes it's good to stay back. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes, to me, had all the tools and still has all the tools to be a main eventer. Still want him to get in that Seth Rollins faction over there on Raw, but it feels like he's in the Miz vortex right now. He's in that underneath mid-card vortex where if we need a triple threat match or we need a tag team match or we need a guy to eat a pin, he's the guy we can use. Got to get him out of that. But if Carmelo Hayes would have stayed in NXT a little while longer, there wouldn't have been a Trick Williams. He would have been getting all the credit that Trick Williams is getting now. He would have been that guy to say, I'm the first ever signed contract WWE guy to win the TNA title. He would have had all of that. But he left and went to the main roster, and Trick Williams is now reaping the benefits of staying back in NXT. To me, Trick has elevated himself, and if I was Trick, I wouldn't want to go on the main roster. I would maybe go by, do a match or two, show up. Really would like to see if Trick brings that title out on Friday Night SmackDown on Monday Night Raw at least one time during this reign. Really think that'll be monumental to say the TNA World Heavyweight Champ is on Friday Night SmackDown or is on Monday Night Raw. But if I'm Trick, I'm good. I'm good right now. I made history. I got another year to continue making history in NXT. Why go to the main roster? Sometimes you don't have to be the rabbit in the race. You can be the tortoise. And slow and steady wins every time. That's Trick Williams. Trick Williams, if you would have asked him 3 years ago, would he be a 3-time World Heavyweight Champ, 2-time NXT Champ, now TNA World Heavyweight Champ? He probably would have told you no. He probably would have told you, hey, I want to get to the main roster. I want my name to be called out on Friday night. And guess what would have been happening? He would have been laying on his back, counting the lights, 1, 2, 3. Lost. Versus now, he is the flagship of NXT, and it lets you know how much NXT and TNA think of Trick Williams as a person, as a superstar, to have him beat the most over superstar on the internet, Joe Hendry. A lot of people say Joe Hendry's got himself made because he's got a catchy song. He does a little spin pose. He looks like Ken from the Barbie doll collection. He's got everybody saying, we believe, I believe in Joe Hendry. We're singing the song. We're working out to the song. We're waving our hands from side to side, all that good stuff. And that's all he got. But Joe Hendry, honestly, is the most over wrestler in wrestling right now. He's more over than Roman. He's more over than Cody. He's more over than the last real champ, John Cena. Hell, I would say he's more over than Jey Uso. If not, they're neck and neck. People gravitate to him. They like him. It's all catchy. And to have him beat and lose, beat Nick Nemeth to win the title, finally put the title on the guy we all said TNA, finally put on the thinking cap, got smart and said, we better run with this Joe Hendry mania right now because this fever is running wild. To have him now lose the title at NXT to Trick Williams lets you know how much NXT and TNA believes in Trick Williams, because this would not have happened. Let's say if it was Braun Breaker, and I like Braun Breaker, I don't think they would have had Braun Breaker go over. It would have been Joe Hendry. It lets you know where Trick is at right now. Trick is a star. We are seeing a star in the making, and you can see that everybody sees it. Booker T sees it. Anybody there can see it. You see it on TV. I cannot wait to see how far Trick goes with this TNA title. I'm definitely hoping that Trick shows up on Raw or SmackDown with the TNA title. Well, before I get ready to jump out here, got to talk about one more person. All ego, Ethan Page, beating Ricky Starks, and now going to wrestle at Worlds Collide and put on the NXT North Atlantic title. I thought Ricky was going to win. I really thought they wanted to put Ricky on Worlds Collide. But I see why you're going with Ethan Page. You need a hot heel, and you need a hot heel that can do something. Now, I'm going to make my picks on that on next week's episode, but I think they made a good move. I think it's always good to have a title on a heel. I said it last week. The babyface can win the title, but it's nothing like having a babyface chase a heel to win the title. You got this down with Javon Evans with his NXT North American title. He can chase all ego Ethan Page and finally win it one. Just like this with Joe Hendry and Trick Williams. Now Joe Hendry has to chase Trick Williams to win back the TNA World Heavyweight title to bring it back to TNA. It's always good to have a heel as a champ. I grew up in an era when heels were cool. NWO, red and black, black and white, D-Generation X. I grew up doing all that it made heel factions cool. And so now it's good to have a good heel. Because I always say, if you want to sell out a wrestling show, you got a hot heel that's a champ with a baby face that everybody gets behind, chasing him to win the title. That's booking 101 right there. Great week of wrestling. So much more we can cover, but we're definitely running out of time. We will be back next week on WOD doing 2 prediction shows. WWE and AAA Worlds Collide, which will be on 3 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, right here on the good old YouTube channels. And we'll be doing picks for Money in the Bank. Somebody is going to be Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank next Saturday night around 10 p.m. Don't forget, when this goes off, hang around Boom Broadcasting. Go catch up on some old shows. And right at noon, my boy Jason drops a new episode of 3 from Deep, talking a lot. Not going to spoil it, but he's got a good topic that I myself definitely can't wait to hear him talk about. So make sure you stay on Boom Broadcasting. Check out 3 from Deep. And then after that, go catch up with all the great content from this week that you missed on Boom Broadcasting. This is Sean. I'm out, and I'll see you next week as we get ready to make some predictions for Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide.
This is Sean from WOD, and I'm with Chris Bassett, the Masterpiece. And you are watching WOD on the Boom Broadcast. Let's go.